Welcome to this Motor Active Tech Talk. This time around we're going to be looking at an often ignored topic, tyre pressures. Now most people check their tyre pressures about as often as they check their oil and water, which is almost never. But like your engine's vital fluids, tyre pressures are very important to the way your car performs. It affects tyre wear, fuel efficiency and handling. So let's take a look at what this tyre pressure stuff is all about. Now the pressure inside the tyre is what supports the weight of the vehicle. Now as every car is a different weight and used for different things, and they come with different size rims and tyres and different compounds, manufacturers would generally tend to have a recommended tyre pressure for your vehicle, which can be found on the tyre placard. Now first we'll take a look at the effects of over and under inflated tyres before looking at how tyre pressure can be lost, and lastly we'll check out how changing tyre pressures can affect the performance of your vehicle. Under and overinflated tyres have a detrimental effect on a tyre's life and performance. Now, an underinflated tyre deforms easily, so it can lead to poor steering response as well as sloppy handling. The deformation of the tread surface means that the inside and outer edges wears out quicker, and also the deformed tyre heats up quicker, which can reduce tyre life by as much as 25%. The higher rolling resistance also increases fuel consumption by as much as 5%, and it decreases acceleration. Now, how do you know if your tyres are dangerously underinflated? Now, one of these tyres is underinflated by over 30%. Can you tell which one? That's right, you can't. It often takes pressures to be as low as 15 psi for it to be visibly noticeable when the car is stationary. But anything as low as a 5 psi pressure drop can be highly detrimental to a tyre's performance. These tyre pressure alert caps from Motorized are perfect to allow you to be able to check if your tyres are underinflated at just a quick glance. They come in different pressures from 28 psi up to 50, and the green indicator lets you know the tyre is inflated correctly, while the yellow indicates low tyre pressure and red means they are dangerously low. Now you can tell if your tyre pressures are low at just a quick glance. Now many people don't realise you need to check your tyre pressures quite regularly, as air seeps out of the tyre over time and pressures are also dependent on temperature. Now the rubber compound used inside the tyre is slightly permeable, which means that the air slowly seeps through the tyre over time, and a damaged rim can also develop a slow leak. Now if you set your pressures on a hot day, you'll often find that at night time or during colder climates, the pressure will actually be lower. Now you should always try and check your tyre pressures when the tyre is cold as opposed to hot, and you should regularly check them when you're going into colder climates. So what happens with an overinflated tyre? Now you'll find when a tyre is overinflated, it will tend to bulge, and this will change the contact patch with the road. You'll find the centre of the tyre will wear out more. Now this changed contact patch also means there's less available grip, which is detrimental to cornering, acceleration and braking. Now an overinflated tyre also gives you a harsher ride, and also means that the rim and tyre can be more easily damaged over rough roads or over potholes. Now on the flip side, because an overinflated tyre has less contact patch with the road and has less deformation, it also has less rolling resistance, which gives you better fuel economy. Now it's common practice for people to raise their tyre pressures by 10 to 15 psi over factory for a long cross-country trip to give better fuel economy. Now it's recommended if you're going to use street tyres for light motorcar or circuit work, you should actually raise your tyre pressures by 4 to 5 psi over factory to help give a stiffer sidewall and make the car perform better around the track. Now if you're using aftermarket wheels and tyres, you should consult the dealer to find out exactly what the optimum tyre pressure is. Now getting these pressures spot on is one thing, but you certainly shouldn't rely on service station air systems to do it, as they've been proven to be wrong by as much as 10 psi and on average are 2 or 3 psi off. So you do need to get yourself a tyre pressure gauge. Now at $14.95, the Motorized Hornet digital tyre pressure gauge is perfect. It's light, small and compact, and its digital readout is accurate to within 2%. Now once you start to take performance a little bit more seriously, you need to take into account more factors to do with tyre pressures, the most important being temperature. Now as the air inside the tyre increases in temperature, the pressure goes up as well. For every 6 degrees in temperature increase for the air pressure will go up by approximately 1 psi. When using street tyres on the track, you need to make sure you monitor the tyre pressures after you finish a session. If you set the desired tyre pressure when cold, you'll find after a few hard laps, your tyre pressures can increase by as much as 5 psi. If you monitor your tyre pressures during the session, you can work out what pressure you need when the tyres are cold so that when they're warm, they actually end up at the correct tyre pressure. When it comes to semi-slicks, things get even more complicated. Semi-slicks have a stiff sidewall, so maintaining higher pressures for tyre stability isn't as much of an issue. Now, every brand and compound of semi-slick has a different pressure and temperature window where it operates best. You can get a recommendation from the tyre manufacturer for a good starting point for your car. If you only ever do 5 laps at a time in a time attack event, then you need to come in after 3 laps to check the temperatures and pressure. If your temp is in the desired performance window, then set the pressure to the lower segment of that window. Once you have the pressure at the desired level, then simply let them cool down and measure the pressure when it's cold so that next time you go to the track, you can already have the correct pressure ready to go before you even head out. Hot and cold days will also affect this, so you will need to keep records of air and track temperatures and monitor your pressures accordingly. If you're serious about optimizing the performance of your car, you need to get your hands on a motorized Digital Pro tyre pressure gauge. It has an array of functions including 4 programmable memory pressure settings, overpressure alert modes, and a bleed button that allows you to accurately set the desired pressure. All this, and it's only $29.95 and backed by a 2-year replacement warranty. Now, to get your hands on any of the motorised range, head to your leading automotive outlet, or you can buy them online at motoractive.com.au.